How's it going, guys? A little bit late to this party, but here's a short little guide to Phasmophobia, some tips and tricks that I've learned over my playtime that I hope will help you guys out if you're starting out pretty new, or you're looking to get into Phasmophobia and you want a little bit of a heads up about things you need to think about, things you need to do, other things that are going to really help you in your investigation. So let's get on with it, shall we? Tip number 1 on our do list: press T when you have a flashlight in inventory and you're using a different item. So flashlights, you've picked up a flashlight, but you've scrolled over to, like, say, your EMF reader. You can still use your flashlight while using the item. Press T and your flashlight will illuminate. Tip number 2 on our do section: hold down shift to walk that little bit faster. Holding down shift will make you just as fast in a straight line as most other ghost types in the game. The only 2 exceptions is a revenant and a djinn. Make sure you're splitting up in your initial investigation to try and find the ghost room. Every ghost has a favoured room, and generally speaking, not all the time, but 90% of the time, you will find the ghost room by using a thermometer or an EMF reader very early on, and spreading out will make you find that room that much quicker. Tip number 4, while you're moving around the building or the area, make sure you're using the words "can you give us a sign" while holding down either your local chat or your global chat. This will encourage the ghost to move an object, open a door, or perform some other interaction with an object nearby, which might give you a telltale sign of what room the ghost might be in. It can narrow down your search very nicely in certain maps, especially bigger ones, so make sure you're using those words. Tip number 5. Thermometer is your best initial investigation tool. Next is your EMF reader. Make sure you're using one of the 2 as you're starting your initial sweep, because ghost rooms are generally colder than other areas. The moment you start getting into like the mid to low teens or below is when you're going to start having an idea it could be the ghost room. Generally speaking, if it gets to around 12 degrees Celsius or lower, I'm pretty much sure I've found the ghost room, or I can ascertain it's in a very nearby area. Remember, the thermometer has a range, so say if you go into like the toilet next to a bedroom, be aware that if you're looking towards the wall with the bedroom next, if you get a low temperature in that bathroom, it could mean the ghost room is next door, so make sure you check both. Next tip is that after initial sweep, or if you can't find anything with the primary investigative tools I've suggested, thermometer and EMF reader, start looking around with the spirit box, get camera set up for ghost orbs, put salt down and try and find any movement the ghost might be making through the salt, and use your sound and motion sensors at a pinch. It's a lot more difficult to narrow down where the ghost is, especially on bigger maps using these items, but when all else fails, you have to look at your secondary investigative tools where you can. Tip number 7 on our do list is make sure you always have a plan of escape. At any moment after the initial phase of setup and investigation is finished, which at amateur is 5 minutes, at intermediate is 2 minutes, and professional is 0. After that phase, the ghost can theoretically hunt whenever. Make sure that whenever you're walking into a location or moving around, make sure you know where your exits are, or at least hiding places. Means if you're heading towards a ghost room, if that ghost room is all the way down the corridor on the high school, make sure that as you're walking down, you're aware of these rooms here and behind you. What have you walked past? If the ghost is hunting at this exact moment, where are you going to go? Make sure you got that in your head. And also with that, try and make sure that if you're investigating, especially during the mid and late phases of the investigation, make sure you're not moving around in a location that's going to put you in a very bad position. For instance, on a farmhouse map, say a dining room without an actual door to close, and you haven't got any sort of hiding location within that room, make sure you're not in that position when a ghost hunt starts. If you are, and the ghost spawns very nearby, it can easily spot you and get you before you can get to another room. Be very careful. Tip number 8 is make sure you're using your light sources as you're entering a location. Turn on those light switches, but be careful. Putting too many lights on in a building or a location is going to put pressure on the breaker. The breaker is your fuse box, basically. The moment that turns off is the moment all the lights will turn off, and putting too many lights on puts stress on the breaker and increases the chance of it knocking off. I don't think it's an actual chance of it turning off. I think after you turn a certain amount of lights on, you will exceed the maximum limit and the breaker will turn off. Be careful, just as you're going around, turn the lights on, investigate a room, turn the light back off again, investigate another room, turn the light on obviously before you investigate, turn it off as you're going out, and just do that as you go along, and you'll make sure the breaker stays on and your sanity will stay as high as possible, because out of a light source your sanity will begin to drop while you're investigating. So the light sources are very important for keeping investigation going on longer. Tip number 9 is about smudge sticks, an item that a lot of people get a bit of misconception about. Some people think that lighting a smudge stick when a hunt begins will give you extra seconds of a hunt, but I haven't seen that happen myself. My belief about smudge sticks is that before a hunt can even begin, if you light a smudge stick in the ghost room or in the nearby area that a ghost will spawn, it will give you an extra minute to 2 minutes of time to investigate without the ghost being able to initiate a hunt. During a mid or late phase of an investigation, it could be really useful if you've got one bit of information missing. Let's say freezing temperatures. Your sanity is at a very low number, say like between like 40 and 0%. You're going back into that building, you know a hunt's going to begin any moment. You're going up towards the ghost room, light that smudge stick in the ghost room with it still smoking, chuck it on the floor. It'll force the ghost to be unable to hunt for between 1 and 2 minutes depending on what ghost type it is. That will allow you to hopefully get a freezing temperature reading and be able to get back out without a hunt happening and potentially get yourself killed. That's how I would suggest using a smudge stick, and it's very useful later on in the game, so do make use of it. It's not a useless item at all, so make use of it. And finally, the number 10 on the do list. Make sure you're using your crucifixes in the ghost room. At professional difficulty, I have got into habits in some games, only some, of going in with a strong flashlight, a thermometer, and a crucifix in my inventory slots. I will try and find the ghost room as quick as I possibly can. Flick your light on in the room, chuck the crucifix down central in the room, go back, get another investigative tool to try and find something else, such as a camera, but also pick up a crucifix as well, another one, and make sure the crucifixes are slightly spread apart because they have a 3-meter range. Within that 3-meter range, if the ghost was to spawn in a hunt within those 3 meters, it actually cancel the hunt out entirely, and one crucifix is able to cancel the hunt twice. It will then disappear. So if you spread those crucifixes out roughly 3 meters away from one another, it will give you the maximum coverage in that room. The ghost could potentially spawn in and therefore give you the maximum coverage of you being able to prevent a hunt. Very useful, and against aggressive ghosts such as a demon, it'll come in very useful when you need to get those initial investigative points in to try and find some evidence. It'll stop that aggressive ghost from disrupting your investigation, from having your sanity drop too quickly, and it has a whole other ton of extra little benefits that will help you get the evidence you need, leave, and be safe and sound. It's a small list, but going in at number 1 is don't use the ghost name without a reason, and also don't use trigger words without a reason. Your local chat and your global chat will pick up a ghost name and it will anger the ghost. It will increase activity of the ghost, and it has potential of disrupting your investigation very quickly. Using the ghost name increases the chance of a hunt being initiated.
Parrot! There's an ass whipping on its way. No! There isn't! I'm sorry! I made a mistake!
Also using other trigger words such as scared, run, hunt, and I believe there's many others, will initiate or encourage the ghost to increase their activity and increase the chance of a hunt from happening. Other trigger words are swear words, so yeah, be careful of using the F word, the C word, the MF word, and all the others, so yeah, be very careful with that. It's good later on in the game when you need to get that little bit extra evidence, whatever it might be, or just get an objective going. If you need a mouse sensor and you need the hunt to begin because of that, or you've got an objective to prevent a hunt from a crucifix, saying the ghost name or swearing a lot using trigger words will encourage that objective to be completed quicker. But early on, be careful, don't use it too often, it will disrupt your investigation. Next tip is that don't use the Ouija board if you've already found the ghost room. Using the Ouija board is great on big maps or just a map where you're having a very difficult time figuring out what the ghost room is. Shy ghosts and other ghosts will make it very difficult at times for you to get the evidence you need. Thermometers won't pick anything up. The lack of activity will make sure the EMF reader stays down. Sensors won't pick anything up because again the ghost is being inactive, and a whole bunch of other things can make it very, very awkward. A Ouija board is great. You can put it down, you can activate it, you can ask the ghost what its favourite room is, and you can pinpoint exactly where to go. Useful. But if you've already found around the room. Using the Ouija board is only going to give you the negative effects of it. The negative effects are you have a 1 in 3 chance when using the Ouija board of entirely cancelling out your setup phase, which is bad. It also increases the chance of a hunt starting, increased activity of the ghost, I believe, and most of all, it has a chance of dropping your sanity. So yeah, be careful. Don't go into the building without a flashlight unless you're doing a challenge for yourself, or you're a streamer or something and a redemption has been made where you can't use a flashlight. Flashlights are very important to know where you're going, to be able to see the light switches and other various things. Like a flashlight is very important just to know where you're going and investigate a lot more effectively. It also allows you to use the T button, as I previously stated, to enable flashlights while using other items. All in all, flashlights are your most important item, I would say. So make use of them and don't go without them. Number 4 is don't overextend your investigation. At times you'll come against a very aggressive ghost, and the last thing you want to do is risk hundreds of pounds worth, hundreds of dollars worth of equipment for the sake of getting that third bit of evidence or that last objective. Just be very careful when you go back in. Just weigh up the pros and cons, make sure that you know what you're doing, and make sure what you're risking when you go in there. Best thing to do, especially if you've got all 3 bits of evidence, you know the ghost type, best is just to cut your losses if you're low on sanity and save your items. Otherwise you're risking $100 worth of items for getting killed by an aggressive ghost, so be careful with that. And yeah, I've already stated it, my last point was don't chance difficult objectives at the end of your investigation. It's basically what I just said, but yeah, if your last objective is take a picture of dirty water and your favourite ghost room is in the asylum far away from a bathroom, don't risk that final objective, because the chances are you're not going to get it. Instead, cut your losses, head out, it's only one objective, don't get yourself killed for it. And a bonus tip for any newcomers, any person who's just installed the game, going their first investigations, and they are bricking it. They are scared to hell, they can feel themselves shaking a bit, whatever. My best tip I can give anybody is go an investigation, put yourself in danger, get yourself killed. Especially if you're like amateur difficulty, when you haven't put many items on early on. Get yourself killed, honestly. It is the single greatest thing you can do in this game, because the moment you realise what dying is like, you kind of open yourself up to the more fun aspects of the game. Dying will make it seem a little bit less scary, but it'll open up more fun parts of the game, honestly. Get yourself killed. Best thing I did, and I recommend it highly to anyone just starting out. Dying in the game is not a particularly scary experience once it's happened to you. So yeah, getting it done early on, it's only going to benefit you. Just do it. Just do it. I promise you. You won't regret it. That is my little guide to Phasmophobia. There are many other points I could have made. Things that I'm sure once I make this video, 10 minutes later, I'll think, should have put that in there. Should have put that in. Should have put that in. But I hope this will do. I hope it gives you a nice little head start. And the game's been out for a good month or so I am late to the party, and people have probably already brought these points up. But for anyone checking it out, anyone's finding it useful, hope you can hit that like button. And if you haven't already, do check out my Twitch. I go live 3 times a week currently. Usually Fridays and Saturdays my definite days, and there's usually one random stream in the week. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Ciao ciao.